All right. Well,
So
first,
thank you so much. Honestly, I know time's so precious, especially for you. And the book ones I relate with it so much. You did it to absolute incredible detail because every single moment, every single page I could definitely relate to it with my story. And you will never know how much it means to me. So thank you so much
thank
for
you.
inspirational words and for spreading your story out to so many people. So we all know you as the author of Wonder, but you know, I want to know a bit more about you. So if you could start off by telling us your name and a bit about your journey.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me, and thank you um, just for taking. I kind of almost feel like spreading kindness is one of those things where it's almost like a relay race, right? We have a
Yeah,
baton,
exactly.
and we kind of give it out to people, and everything you have done. I follow your Twitter feed, and your parents must be so proud. That's all I can say. You're amazing. So thank you for saying that about me, but I'm turning it right back onto you. So I am RJ Palacio, the author of Wonder, and I am right now in, I don't even know, I guess this is month 5 of quarantine
Yeah,
in New York
same.
City. I know. But in some ways, I have to say that I've been very appreciative of the fact that this time in this world's history has given us all a chance to pause a little bit and
Mm,
almost reconnect with our better angels,
definitely.
take stock of what's important, spend more time with our family and our loved ones, and reach out to people that we hadn't reached out to in a long time because life moves at such a quick pace. And so I'm trying to do what I can to take advantage of this time and focus on things that I think are really important. And I feel like I hope everybody's taking advantage of this time, as hard as it is. I live in Brooklyn, New York, with my husband and right now with both my kids. My older son. Was away at grad school, but now during this time he's kind of come back home, and so yeah, we're just here doing what we can to just keep going and keep on with our lives.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a sad time for the entire world, but we've really got to take this time and try and find who we are because the world was happening so fast. We're thinking of the next step. We're trying to solve different situations that might be dilemmas for many people, and this is kind of a massive setback. But in a way, it just made us rethink our entire situation, and it's been
Exactly.
there like life is so precious and we got to live it to our fullest, and we've got to be that standout person. We have to live it to the max. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's definitely given us time to reflect on our own lives. So
Hmm.
yeah, that I'm thankful for, but still I'd wish this would never happened.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely.
it's
So
especially hard, I think, for what how old are you, Nick?
I'm 13 turning 14.
Yeah, I would think I have a 16-year-old, and I have thought, and I know this affects different age groups differently, but I have thought, and I've said before that I think for young teenagers, for teenagers in general, this might have hit even harder than it hit anybody else
Yeah.
because you guys are at an age where you want to hang out with friends and you're just kind of that's very important, and socializing and all of that, and suddenly you're stuck at home with your parents 24 hours a day. That's tough.
Yeah.
I completely acknowledge that. So I do know that we will reach the other side of this, and hopefully it sounds like you're at the very least, as my son is, I think, just appreciating the time that you have at home and knowing
Yeah.
that it's just a temporary thing, and soon you'll be spreading your wings and socializing again and hanging out with friends. So
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's not only for teenagers, for many adults as well, that most people are like substituting hanging out with friends or mixing, socializing to going on the internet and social
mhm.
media. So I think, especially what I've been trying to do in my family is try and cut back on social media and get really some family time. because it was a massive shock to us. This has never happened before. And I think the first thing we think about is trying to speak to more people to get their influence and to really get their side in this, because we feel like we're alone in this situation.
Hmm.
And it feels like this is a new thing to us and we don't know how to handle it. But now I think it's sadly becoming more normal to live in situations like lockdown. So I think now
Hmm.
we really decided to focus more on our own family, which is good in a way.
That's
So
great.
yeah, especially. And around the time where I found out that the book won up with the Diane Awards, it really changed my life as well, because I found the similarities through this book, and I just kept reading it, and reading it, and it was just fascinating because I thought that I was going through this alone, but there were many people going out there with the same situations as you, and might even be having a harder time at dealing with it. So
Hmm.
yeah, you've really got to think about that, and we're trying to be there for each other. We have to try and help each other. So that's
Hmm.
definitely exactly what you've done, and I really look up to you for that.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
yeah. So yeah. So there are so many people in our lives that really give us that inspiration and that really help us push forward as well. But when I was reading through the book Wonder, there were so many different quotes that I try to live by as well. I really love the one where it says everyone deserves a standing ovation at least once in their lifetime. Oh, I think that was right at the end, but that was probably the one that felt really close to my heart. So if you could say, what was your most favorite quote throughout the book, or even there might not been one in the book? So what's your favorite quote?
Um, I have a bunch. I think this one is not in the book. It's in one of the follow-up
Yeah.
books. But it's the one, and I can't even remember the attribution at the moment. I should have looked it up. But it's the one where it says, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is
Yeah.
fighting their own battles," and I think that is really so important in life to remember that everyone is, we might not see, the thing with Augie is what he struggles with is very apparent. Obviously it's on his
Yeah.
face. It's an internal struggle, but it's also an extremely external struggle for him. But so many people carry those struggles inside and you don't know what they are. And I think it's just, so what I tried to do in the book was, Augie's was more obvious, but Via's going through her things, and Justin and Jack and Summer, they all have things that they carry within them and are struggling with their own problems and their own issues. And I think my idea with writing from multiple points of view was to get kids to see that everyone's got something going on, and let's treat each other with empathy and compassion, and approach one another with kindness first.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Because I think the main message for all of the branches of Wonder that you've especially deepened within the entire book is don't judge a book by its cover, because
Right.
there's always a story behind that. There's always something to tell, and especially when you're a young child, when you're a kid, you don't really understand the full aspects of something. So you're most likely to look at someone and then you judge them by that character, and I
Hmm.
think that's 100% normal. It happened for me as well, and when it was happening to you firsthand, it didn't feel right, and but it's a totally normal response, especially for a young child, and yeah, I think that's definitely the message that you've been trying to spread, to try and get awareness for this. And there's always that story behind, there's always that meaning, there's that deeper side of something. So yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. It's a great answer. So yeah, took you've take you've taken oh, I can't find the words. So you've had the book Wonder, and then you've developed on that, trying to find backstories. And there was particularly a book that I think came out quite recently, and it was really quite nice, and it was called The White Bird. Now, you are so kind and supportive for so many people, and you try and get that wider community in to try and find the common factors of each person and try and unite them in a way through this one book. So clearly you've written it absolutely amazing. But could you please tell us a bit more about the White Bird and your new book?
Well, Whitebird starts off with actually a character in Wonder, Julian, who we know was kind of the bad guy in Wonder. But in Whitebird, he kind of comes full circle. We meet his grandmother, Grand-mère, who tells him the story of her life as a young Jewish girl growing up in Nazi-occupied France. And she talks about sort of the kindness of some strangers who took her in as a refugee, as someone who was frightened of being deported, as someone who's frightened for her life. These people took her in, knowing that it could cost them their own freedom, their own lives. And I wanted to write about that at this particular moment in time, when there are so many people sort of struggling with being othered, especially in my country right now, with all that's going on. The sort of xenophobia that's hit, the anti-immigrant rhetoric, the anti-refugee lack of compassion. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I thought it was important to write about these things, so that we can, because if you look at the past, we could learn so much. There are guideposts in the past. One of the ways to never repeat sort of the atrocities that have happened in the past is by acknowledging them and moving forward and learning from them. So Whitebird basically is an exploration of that terrible time in history, with an eye toward what's happening now, and hopefully what we can do to change the future so that it never happens again. And it's a graphic novel, so that was kind of fun for me, because my background is illustration, and I got to explore that and kind of return to my roots a little bit. So sort of, writing and drawing at the same time. That was fun. So that was Whitebird.
Yeah, that was exciting. You got to explore all those different aspects of that. And going to Julian as well, most bullies or people that you say pick on people, they have experience. Well, it's proven online that they've experienced some hatred or even bullying themselves.
Yeah.
So maybe that background from Julian, and maybe his past brought all those emotions and hatred, and maybe he just wanted to kind of unleash it onto another person, which is wrong, but it's definitely a normal reaction as well. Yeah, and going on to the main aspect of the White Bird, Julian's grandmother has experienced some hardships and have prevailed from it. But as you said, immigrants and refugees don't really get that good light from the media as well. And it's amazing that you've really tried and incorporate it into this one book, bringing two sides together and saying these are people too, and they have their own emotions and feelings, which is not really portrayed through the media. So it's really degrading those people. So could you really give us your opinion on how do you think the media is portraying all these people that are immigrants? And so could you give your opinion on that?
Sure. I think there's a tendency by the media and maybe even the public at large to treat the immigrant experience, the migrant experience, as if it were a monolithic block, forgetting that they're actually made up of individuals that each have their own stories to tell. They're each unique. Every single immigrant story is unique. And I think when we approach anything as if it were just a block, as if it were just a massive group of people, it's easier to be fearful. It's easier to be prejudicial. It makes it easier because you're just dealing with an unknown block, a wall. But once you get to know people on a human level, on a person-to-person level, and you start realizing that wall of people, that mass of migrants that you're afraid of, or refugees or whatever, is actually made up of individuals, and they all have their own stories, and some are heartbreaking stories, and we all want the same thing. We're all human beings. things. We all just want to feel safe. We all just want to feel loved. We all just want to feel like there's a place that we can call home. And so I think the media does tend to forget to identify the individuals within that struggle. And instead, they do tend to portray it just as sort of like, a massive thing. And so one of the things that I think that is incumbent on all of us is to try to humanize the story of the immigrant, of the story of the refugee. I mean, I myself am a first-generation American. My parents came here from another country, and I was born here. But I'm the first person in my family to have been born here, like in 300 or 400 years. And that's my story. But my story isn't the same as someone else's story. They're all unique. They're all individual, and I think it's really important to recognize that and recognize the humanity of people. Every single person is a human being, is your brother, is your sister, is your mother, is your father. I mean, it's true. And I have trouble sometimes understanding where people come from who don't see that. Like when people who are just, is it fear that drives them? Is it, I try not to think in terms of hate. I think that it's not the natural sort of human condition to be hateful. So that's an acquired thing. I think when babies are born, they're born knowing love. They're born needing love. They're born needing companionship. They're born needing care. I think love is sort of the natural condition, and hate is an acquired condition. And fear, I guess, is what sort of the immigrant or the refugee experience. So I think it's really just incumbent on all of us to try to illuminate and try to shed light on the humanity behind the stories.
Yeah, and 100% going on what you said, my grandparents were migrants too, and I try to advocate for all in the wider community. And a thing that your parents and people try to implement into you is saying that life is hard, there are going to be hardships in life, but you got to think, like, there are many people who are going through harder stuff than you could even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the media have got it all wrong, because they're portraying these people as people who try to come into our country, or they're portraying them not as they're human beings themselves, and they don't have their own feelings, and they don't have that passion that they want to live a normal life just like us. And so yeah, we've got to think of it like that. And it really is definitely an issue that has to be brought up on more often as well, because they definitely deserve equal opportunity as well, because I think that's what many people are advocating for in life. And there are so many different aspects of equal opportunity, whether it's education, seen as equal in the community, equal jobs, and yeah, especially migration is definitely 100% a part of that as well. So yeah, 100%, I agree with you, and I'll definitely be supporting you.
Thank you. And I'll support you, because you're just 13, and I feel like I'm talking to the wisest adults in the world. Can I just ask you, what is it that you want to pursue, like, as you get older? Do you have any sort of idea, or you're like, what? I'm just curious about you, because you're amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, especially words from you as well.
Mm.
But I try to live my life as wherever it takes me next, I'll go. Like, all
Mm-hmm.
of these opportunities, I'll go seeking out for as many opportunities as I can get. But if they fall upon me, and if there's recognition from other people, then I'll probably pursue that. So haven't got a dead set on job that I would like to have, although I've pondered in many different aspects as well. But so I'm not 100% sure on something.
Well,
But
I look forward to seeing what you end up doing. I know it's going to be, you've already achieved great things, but I really can't wait to see what you do for this world. It's going to be amazing.
so much. I can only wish to live up to you as well.
Oh,
Um,
gosh.
so you've achieved so much, but Obviously, you're a well-established author, and you're an amazing activist as well. But where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you see continuing the branch of Wonder? Do you see yourself starting something new? Where do you see yourself?
You know, hopefully, knock wood, healthy, because now, nothing can be taken for granted these days. I will always continue talking about wonder, and advocating for kindness, and that will probably be the thread that unites everything I work on moving forward. I don't know if there are more wonder books in the
Mm.
future. Yeah, I don't know. Like you, I don't really have a charted course. I know the next book that I do is not going to be wonder related. And in fact, I just finished it in quarantine. So I know for a fact that it is not wonder related. But I might go back to it. I mean, Augie Pullman is never far from my heart. And I would like to sometimes, I do think it would be interesting to explore what it will be, what college will be like for him, and his first girlfriend, or, and just like, continue that journey. But I'm not sure I will. It might be best
Mm.
left. And what I've always thought, it's best left to the imagination of the readers.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite questions when I've gone around talking about wonder so much to so many schools, and I usually get asked, so what will Augie be when he grows up? And I think that's really an interesting question that kids ask, because they're already imagining what he will be, and as a writer, that's almost the best thing you can do, is just kind of like the book asks the question and then the reader answers it, and so in a way, if I were to write a sequel to Wonder outlining what I think Augie would be, it kind of limits what he can be in the minds of all the readers. So I probably won't write a sequel, but we'll see.
Yeah, Oggie's legacy, if you do or do not write a new book about Wonder, it will always live on. And especially as you said, that book's just a foundation, and then the reader can really build the entire building. And
Hmm.
that's definitely something, your imagination's probably one of the most important things that you can have,
Yeah,
including your voice as well. And yeah, so it's great to hear that from you as well. But
thank you.
you know, there is so much kind acts in the world, whether or not it's from you spreading your messages to the world to try and make it brighter, or there are just the simple kind acts of opening a door. But would you tell us what you think? What kind act should people do to try and make this world a better place? Or what would you like to happen right now in the world?
Um, I think people should learn to listen
Yeah.
more, especially with all that's going on with Black Lives Matter
Mm.
and the struggles of people to be heard. I think it's incumbent on everybody to try to listen with better ears. Uh, I think at the end of We're All Wonders, which is a picture book that I wrote, sort of telling the story of wonder, but for younger kids. If you look with kindness, you will always find wonder. It's sort of the moral of that story. And I think if we listen with kindness too, we will understand a little bit better.
Mm.
And so I think that right now, what we can do to advocate for other people is listen,
Yeah.
not react defensively, not react angrily, but understand that people need to be able to voice their journeys, and we need to be able to hear everybody
Yeah.
on all sides of every issue. And that right now, I would say, is the greatest act of kindness that we can do for one another, is just to listen,
Mm.
and then hopefully hear, just listen and hear.
Yeah, definitely. Because us as humans, as you said, we're all born in that neutral kind of level. We have that. We don't have those fully established emotions. We don't have that fully established brain yet, but we're always learning. And the only way we can learn is to listen. And it depends who you're listening from. So you
Hmm.
especially have to listen to the right people, stay with the right crowds, have the right friends, yeah, have that crowd of people that are there to help you go in the right direction as well. Because I think most of the hatred in this world, um, it's it's kind of like a group and of people that really speak out and hang out with the wrong crowds. So
Hmm.
I definitely say you have to find the right people to hang around with or to eventually grow up with. So yeah, definitely you have to listen
Absolutely.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're always learning and every single day we're learning new things. So yeah, it's amazing to hear the questions, and as I said, I found you through the Diana Award and Princess Diana, who they really strongly support, and they like base their entire charity around. Is she believed that children could change the world, and that children had a voice and they could express their voice with being taken seriously and not taken as
Hmm.
immature. So yeah, she not only said so many quotes, but she lived by them as well. And you've done absolutely amazing acts about writing around Oggy and many others as well.
Thank you.
Because the book Wonder, I don't think you'll ever know what it means to me because it's always going to be there, and I definitely relate with it so much. And you
Thank
accept
you.
so many people. I think my mum's been crying right now, me speaking to you, because she knows how much you and your story mean to me. Because no one's journey is as important as the other, and that's definitely something
Right.
that I stand by and I try to live by. Because we've all got something to tell, and you've really accepted the wider community, and I can only try to do that. So I'd like to thank you
Thank you.
for your
Thank you.
acceptance within facial equality and outside that as well. So thank you so much, and it's been amazing. I
Thank
know
you,
time is
Nick.
so
I'm hoping that when I next time when we can travel together again, I would love to meet you and your mom.
yeah, me
So
too,
next time I go to England, all right, we will definitely meet up. All
definitely,
right, I can hardly wait.
100%.
Something to
Yeah,
look forward to. All
yeah.
right.
Thank you so much. It's been
Thank you so much.